Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to Just One More Linux. This is my basic command line series where we go over Linux commands, how they work, what they do, and how to use them. Today we're going to be covering 4 different commands plus a bonus command, so really 5, although one of them is just very simple. I'm going to be using it over and over, so if I'm going to be using it in the video, I figured you might as well know what it does. So a little housekeeping to get that out of the way. The first thing that we're going to cover is the clear command. We're just going to say clear, okay? That clears the terminal. See how I have a ton of lines now? If I say clear, it clears. There's nothing more to it really than that. You don't need to worry about it. Just need to understand what I'm doing for the sake of the video. I will be clearing the terminal multiple times once it gets filled up so that we have more space and things are neat and clean and you can see what you got to focus on. Alright, now that we had that out of the way, the commands we're going to be actually working on and learning about in this video are going to be PWD, LS, CD, and CAT. Okay, and we're going to be doing more than one in this video because these commands really work hand in hand with each other. While they all have their own separate uses and do different things, navigating the Linux file system requires multiple commands. Okay, and these are just some of the more basic ones that you can use to get around and see what's going on, okay? And as we get into it, you'll understand more what I'm talking about and why it takes multiple commands to navigate the system. You could argue that you could just use CD, but that wouldn't get you very far, okay? So before we start doing anything, let's take a look at this. This is the Linux file system, okay? Now, I don't want you to get overwhelmed with everything you see here and feeling like you have to understand all the different directories and what's in them and how they work. I want you to really just take note of 2 things. You have root and root. Okay, this up here at the top, the backslash, is known as the root, and this is also root. They're not the same. Okay, they're 2 different directories. The one on the top represents the root directory of the file system. It houses all the different directories and all the files of the system inside of it. Alright, this one is the directory specifically refers to the home directory of the root user, or U, right? It is located directly under the root directory, the one we just talked about, and is typically used as the home directory for the super user or root account. I also don't want you to worry about super user or sudo. That's a whole different video in its own. We'll get into that later. Okay? So now that we understand the difference between root and root, and we've had a glance at what the Linux file system looks like, let's get into the command line and throw some commands out. Right? Now, when we get in here, the first command we're going to talk about is PWD. Being as in my terminal, it's actually kind of useless, so I would like to get it out of the way. So what you'll see here is that next to my name, it shows me where I am in my file system, right? Not all terminals are like this. In fact, a lot of terminals do not tell you where you are next to the name. So to figure out where you are, you're going to use the command PWD. Okay? Now all that stands for is print working directory. And we can see it printed home catrat, which is my username. Okay, that's what this tilde stands for. Represents your home directory. Okay, so PWD is basically like your GPS, right? It's going to show you where you are. All right. Now that you know where you are and what directory you're in, what if you want to know what's inside that directory? How do you do that? You can't see anything, right? This is a command line. It just looks like empty black space. But if we want to see what's in here, we're going to type letters LS, which stands for list. Okay? That's going to show us the files inside our system. Now, there's actually not normally files in this folder by default, but I put some files in here, just for the sake of this video. I did a basic file.txt file and a couple scripts, okay? So what if you want to see what's in those files? How can you do that without opening them? What if you wanted to do something like hover on your desktop? You know how when you have a folder open, you can hover over a file, get a preview of what's in there. You can't exactly do that in the command line, right? If I hold my mouse over it, nothing happens, right? So what do we do to get a preview of the file here? How does that work? Well, that's our next command. It's going to be called cat, or C-A-T, not to be confused with the animal, okay? Do that, we'll first do our little text file right here, file.txt, very basic file that I made, okay? And we're going to say cat file.txt, okay? It just says this is a file, and that is what I have in the file. Just a very basic file to throw on there. Can you do that with everything though, or will it only work with text files? Well, that's why I have two scripts here as well, okay? So let's do the first one, which is fizzbuzz.py. If anybody here knows what fizzbuzz is, tell me about it in the comments. You get stuck on fizzbuzz when you first learn to code? Because I feel like nobody's going to know what fizzbuzz is besides coders. So let's do cat on fizzbuzz. Okay, that's going to show fizzbuzz, right? This is my little simple scalable fizzbuzz game. If you were curious and don't know what fizzbuzz is, I'll show you what it does really quick. So we'll just do, now don't worry about learning how any of this works, I just want to show you. Oh, sorry. So it's asking us how high would we like to count? What should we put? I'm going to put 100. Okay. And what fizzbuzz is a game that prints every number from whatever, well, it's supposed to be 1 to 100, but I made it scalable so you can count as high as you would like. Okay. And if the numbers are cleanly divisible by 3, it prints fizz. If they're cleanly divisible by 5, it prints buzz. And if it's divisible by both, they print fizzbuzz. This is a very common coding problem that people learn early on when they start learning to code and get asked to solve. It's supposedly a child's game as well, but I never played when I was a kid. And then I have mine in a loop, so you can keep playing again. So I could say yes here. And then I would just say, let's say 20 this time, and we'll only count to 20. Okay. Say no and exit out. So that's all that is. But you can see we were able to cat it. All right. So we can say cat fizzbuzz.py. We can see the actual code of the program. Right. So you see we just played it. This is what the code actually looks like that I used to write the program. It's very simple. It's not complicated. But there it is. Okay. We can use cat on pretty much most types of files. Okay. And that allows us to basically hover files with CLI, right? So next, we know, now we learned how to figure out where we are, look around us, and identify items, right? What if we want to move to a different directory? What do we do? We saw this file system in the beginning of this lesson. How do we change directories? What if we wanted to go to, let's say, var? What are we going to do? How are we going to do that? Okay, well, that's our next command. It's going to be cd. Okay, so let's start out by saying cd, and we're going to say just backslash. This is going to take us to the root directory. Okay, now we're going to light up this dark room with our ls, and we're going to see that this is looking very similar to what we have down here. Okay, oh, don't want to do that. There you can see enough that they're matching. We got the boot, dev, var, usr, all the friends are here. Okay, you can see that that is now in root. All right. So what if we wanted to go to var? Let's start chaining some of these commands we just learned together. Move through var and see what we can find. All right. So let's say cd var. Okay. What do we do? ls, light up that dark room. Then we're going to move to, let's do www at the end there. So we'll do var www. Oh, geez. See, Even people who've been doing this for a while mess up. We're going to do cd www, not var www. Use ls to see where we are. Now we only have one directory, so we'll change into that directory. We'll do cd again, say html. All right, let's see what's in here. We'll use ls. We have a file, index.html. Now, what if we wanted to see where we are? Okay, well, we can use PWD. Of course, like I said, we do know where we are in my terminal, but not all terminals will tell you this information. So, from PWD, we can see that we went to var www.html, right? So this looks like to be where the information for a web page would be, okay? Let's check out what's in index.html to see if we can confirm that, right? So to do that, we're going to say cat index.html, right? And there we can see indeed this is the basic landing page for a website. A very simple one. Literally all this would do is just say hello world if it was loaded, but that is nonetheless what it is. We were able to use PWD and cat to deduce that after getting here, okay? So let's clear the terminal up, hit ls again. We can see that we're very far from home though. We started out all the way at home, and now we've gone through var, www, and html. What do we want to get back? What do we do? Right? Well, first thing we can do is cd dot dot. Now cd dot dot will bring us back just one. Okay? So it's a quick way to just go back one directory. But what if you were like 10 directories deep? If you wanted to get all the way home without typing cd dot dot 10. How could you do that? You can say cd and then, oh geez, can't type it all this one. And throw a tilde up there. Okay? Hit enter, and that's going to bring you back home. Okay? You can see because we have a little tilde up here next to my name. Here's our files that were in the home directory, and just to confirm, there we go. Okay? So now that we have done all that, let me show you something else, a little bit more advanced. Just a little extra tip to throw on at the end here, okay? So we know that we can use cat to see a file, right? And we remember that index.html, we remember where it was, what the path was, right? What if we wanted to see that file from here? Can we do that? We can say cat, we can say var www /html index.html. Okay, and look, we can print our file all the way from a different directory. Now, this is a little bit more complicated. You have to know what you're looking for, but it works. Okay, so we were able to skip over hitting all those commands and just look at that file without having to go and change through all the directories. Okay. These are some very basic commands, right? There's more to navigating Linux file system than just these commands, of course. And even some of these commands, not all of them that we learned today, have more complicated options for use. I just showed you one of them with cat, okay? For homework, why don't you look into these, use the previous command we used, man, on some of them. I believe most of them have a man page. And see if you can figure out some more complicated uses for these and ways to help you navigate the Linux file system further while you root around in there, no pun intended, and learn about what's going on in the file system. Anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and learned something. Have a good one and enjoy the rest of your morning, night, or whatever it is for you.